Hello, hello, hello. Let's hope that it started. I had like one of my videos didn't start on time, so I'm always scared about that. Um, okay. So today we're going to look into this article by Lauren. I actually wanted to react to his previous one, the React one by default, but yeah, uh, I was getting kind of like around to it too for too long. I will say just kind of like a couple of things. So there are like few things that are kind of like a bit wrong here in the article. Um, I wouldn't say it's like wrong. How to say it, like maliciously or whatever. It's more like wrong because it's like, oh, he just like parroted the marketing kind of like speech from like Swell 3, right? And it's like, well, that wasn't really true, but they still like stuck with it for a while. So uh, um they're like the virtual dome with pure overhead and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I just like don't like that whole side of the argument. So seeing it parroted kind of like doesn't bring me too much joy, obviously. Um, but yeah, the other thing about like, well, what is it? What does it kind of like mean to win by default, right? And like not making any innovation. It's well, actually, I haven't seen this part. Yeah, constant churn and stability. I think it's like a bit of like a matter of perspective, right? So he's trying to make an argument that like React is not improving. So it's like, yeah, if they're improving, it's churn and not improvement. Which, yeah, I just kind of like disagree, but yeah, it's like a fun perspective. It's uh like Theo has his like whole thing is like React is the last framework, right? It's like, well, I don't agree. It's like a fun perspective. It's like an interesting way of like looking at things, but like I don't see how that's connected to reality. But anyway, so speaking of connecting to reality, so this one I kind of like knew that it's in works, and Lauren actually did like a lot of like um uh good job kind of like communicating and like finding people and whatnot, because like he talked to all of those frameworks, all of those, I don't know, communities or whatever, right? And it's like, hey, I want to hey I want to like show my thing in I'm like, he from his perspective, right? Like he's like, hey, I want to show your thing in the best like possible light. So here's what I'm doing. Like, am I doing it right or wrong? Right. So kind of like great on that, because am I the only viewer every time? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like streaming at the strange times now, but yeah, like some of my usuals, I guess they're more like late people, not early people. Anyway, so I think like the setup for the article is great, and I think like he spent a lot of time kind of like trying to prove the thing. There were kind of like benchmarks like this before. I actually like one of my like first I don't know, like tweets and YouTubes and all that stuff were kind of like this sort of benchmark, because this one is kind of like easy. This one is like it is kind of like a bit hard to argue with this one compared to like, again, like speaking of Theo, he did this whole like what is it, Cloudflare versus Vercel, and it's like, oh, I tested on my laptop, and it's like, well, that's cool. Like, how does that translate in real life, right? So like this one is, I like the setup. Anyway, I don't have a lot of time, and this is a very long article. I will try to kind of like read it, but like very quickly. I kind of want to start kind of like the code, I don't know when he mentions the code, so we'll see how long we are going to we'll see how long it will take. Yes. Okay. So I built the same app 10 times, evaluating frameworks for mobile performance. It's interesting that like he did this part because uh it is like interesting like benchmarks, right? Like what are you benchmarking? Like what are you trying to show with your benchmark? I think like mobile performance is a good like term for what we are calling bundle size, right? The bigger the bundle size, the harder it is to churn through your JavaScript on your like uh $200 Android. uh I never have time. Well, yeah. I, I, I guess yeah, it's hard to find time for all the stuff that I'm doing. But okay, anyway, so that's like a first thing, right? Is mobile performance. What does that mean? Well, we'll see. Okay, I started evaluating 3 frameworks for work. Ended up building 10. So Marco, Solid Start, SvelteKit, Quick, um, all delivered instant performance. The real differentiator, bundle size range from like 300 kilobytes. Yeah, I was like, those numbers are small. This is compressed. Choose basic priorities, not uh, yes. Well, how to say? I guess this is like he's starting from a conclusion. Choose based on your priorities, not differences, right? Not microscopic differences. The idea is that like there are kind of like buckets, right? So like once you're in a bucket where I don't know, like Svelte Kit and Solid Start, like you you wouldn't find like that much difference, right? You can change your application in kind of like tiny ways, and like now this one wins, right? Um, uh, the how to say it? But on the other hand, is like there is nothing that you can do to next.js to get in the same bucket, right? So you're not going to be able to get much different, or like the signals implementation, right? Like the Ryan Carniato likes to talk is like, oh yeah, like alien signals are like 10 times faster in this micro frame, like micro benchmark. It doesn't translate into like real like application speed like at all, right? So like once you are in some sort, like once you're hitting some sort of threshold, like improvements from there kind of like don't matter as much, right? And how do you pick kind of like what is this threshold, right? So for stuff that I was doing at work, um i I found that uh like the performance things and all that stuff is like I went all the way to like kind of like as close to zero kind of like kilobytes of JavaScript as possible and whatnot, but then I added like React bundle to that, and it didn't change anything, right? So like I'm like way lower than the threshold. So I now have like a bit of space that I can add stuff, right, without kind of like blowing everything. Anyway, yeah, and I heard that like he was like basically like tasked at work. Is like, hey, what is the best thing? And he's like, well, I think this. And they're like, how do you prove that? Well, let me build the thing. My team needs to choose a framework for upcoming app. The requirements were clear. It had to work well on mobile. Not acceptable on mobile, but actually good. We're building tools for real estate agents working in the field, open houses, parking lots, potty, cellular. Okay, this is this is why I don't want to read the whole thing, because I will find a word that will get stuck on. Anyway, so um, yeah, so like people out there on a phone and like with maybe like spotty connection, right? Like how do we optimize for those? It is interesting that like he's not like saying about like the mobile performance. That's kind of like how I got into like small bundle sizes, because they're like the just like CPU crunching, right? And I was looking into like stuff like INP and all that stuff, where it's like, well, it's just like not responsive or whatever. So I guess maybe it's like implied. But yeah, I was just the joke that I was making is that real estate agents usually have like very powerful like iOS devices, so they don't suffer as much from CPU bottlenecks. I had a look at the Next.js implementation and can be improved drastically. Oh, interesting. Well, I don't know how drastically you can improve it, right? There's like still a like if you don't do anything in your app, it's still going to be like a I forgot what's the number, right? It's like 500K ungzipped. So it's like you can't fix that part. But yeah, I would be interested in learning more what improvements you have. Anyway, um, a reasonable comparison: Next.js versus Solid Start and SvelteKit. Yes, so I I'm obviously kind of like a bit biased on the some of the like more React solutions, right? I would add 10 stack here and Remix because I think they are kind of like if you are thinking I need to make it on React, you don't have to use the worst React framework. You can use like a better React framework. That's kind of like my perspective on this part. Yeah, so like comparing Next.js to anything is going to show you that Next.js loses, right? But you have like other React options. Um, yeah, three frameworks should be straightforward. But when I built first implementation, the issue was interesting. The issues I was seeing with Next.js weren't specific to Next.js. Well, that's the part that like where I disagree a bit. They were fundamental to React itself. Yeah, so I think he like started this thing before he wrote that article, and that's why the article of like React won by default and like I don't like React it kind of like went out of this one. Um, okay, I have some YouTube chat, but I can't read it for some reason. Why is it? What is going on? Oh, okay. Lol, here I'm losing sleep if my bundle grows more than 5 kilobytes with React. Yeah, exactly. So and like I'm also like this. I'm like, oh, there's like 10 kilobytes over there that I can remove, and like I will remove them, and it's like, oh, I can actually add React back, and it will be fine. So yeah, it is like a funny like balance of like, but yeah, like my answer to that is like do things that are like small by default, right? So like so that you don't have to like think about it as much. It's like, oh yeah, we're just using the small by default thing. It will be small. So but like if we need it, we can like optimize it. But you just like how to say it? If you use something that is like again like Next.js where you have to like optimize before you get to the baseline, right? It's going to be like a different experience because like well no one well I guess not no one but like not everyone is going to do it, so like eventually you will be like screwed. But if you do something that is like small by default, right, like you have way headway or whatever. Okay, so where was it? Yeah, so I didn't like React, blah blah blah. So what are other dominant frameworks? It's interesting that like views now seem to be like have like more downloads than Angular, right? So like the next dominant framework is Vue, not Angular. Yeah, Angular used to be there for like a decade now, right? But going down. I think React even has more numbers than Angular now, but that's like more like library use probably, so it's easier to do that. Okay. That question changed the scope, so I was going to make so like he was going to add like more frameworks to comparison. Um, I'm sharing what I discovered. The measurements are real. The features are so he's building the same application with the same features. This is maybe like why people are going to be like upset, right? Because it's like, well, that's not like idiomatic way of doing it in that framework and whatnot. So yeah, I'm guessing there could be like a kind of like a version 2 of this framework like in a year where they worked on like maybe like adding some of the best practices, making sure that like they still are similar and whatnot. But like in a year, there will be like new features, and everyone will say, "Oh, you're not using that feature." So it's like a moving target. Anyway, so the differences are dramatic. Mark, we are like in a range from like 12 kilobytes on Marco. Oh, that's like raw. Oh my god. Is that like with all the features? Oh yeah, yeah. How do you do that? Like it has to be MPA then. If it's 7 kilobytes gzipped on Marco, maybe like that's initial load and just like lazy loads more. Okay, this is yeah. I'm curious what's the app because like I think you can write different apps that will have like this number will be different. But yeah, a 500 just like that's basically like baseline. If you like don't do anything in Next, it will be around like 500 kilobytes, which gzips to like 154, which um which is like 5 times more than like the all the first party JavaScript that I have like in my like whole application at work. So um yeah, the React one by default again is like I think it's a good article. It's a bit like I don't like the a bit of like the parroting of the bad takes that happens there, but yeah, overall like an interesting perspective. Okay, so key takeaways. Okay, so we're still in the TLDR part. Interesting. Uh, as far as I remember, his app was making landing page with actual app behind it. Yeah, so I have like some questions about like what's the structure of the app, which is 99% of the app. Yeah, it is like crazy to me that like in React world they're like, oh, I'm building a static landing page. I have to use Next, and I'm like, "Oh, that's the opposite. Like, why why are we talking about Next as like I guess they're like they came up as like a Gatsby replacement, right? And it's like, well, the Gatsby was also wrong to use it on this. Like, why are we talking about it? Yeah, I don't know, crazy. Okay, so what is this milliseconds? What are we? First content full paint. Okay, so mark of 40 milliseconds and like next 40 milliseconds. Yeah. Okay. Well. Uh. Yes. Okay. uh. Wait. Next 40 milliseconds, but next is 400. Oh, that's interesting. The four speed between fastest and slowest. Okay. Yeah. All the next gen frameworks feel instant. Well, again, it's like depends on the app, right? It's like you can build an app that's not going to feel instant anymore. Uh, I remember a study that said that framework bundle size actually doesn't matter that much because for apps, at some point the app could become a large. The framework size doesn't matter as much. Yeah. Well, that's unfortunately that's what everyone tells themselves. Like once they're using Next.js, it is like true that when you're doing like a CRA Vite style apps that don't have like as much of a framework, right? They only have like React. Like it will be like 5% of your bundle or whatever. But that's unfortunately that's like bad, right? You need to build better apps where React is no longer like 5% of your bundle. That's kind of like the mind shift that like didn't happen yet. Yeah, bundle size comparison. Okay, you just said 9 kilobytes. Like, why are you saying 28 kilobytes here? Like this number, like I believe more as like an app. Okay, I think it makes sense now. So when he was saying about like 8 kilobytes and 150 kilobytes, that's for like Hello World, which I know those numbers. And 28 and 176, that's the numbers for his app, like once you build something. Okay, that makes sense now. Yeah, solid start is 41, which uh okay. I'm probably thinking about just like solid. And solid start is probably bigger because has a router and all that stuff and like Serval. So yeah, I don't remember like solid start numbers anymore. I was like using solid start beta that had like islands, and that one was very small. Yeah, if you're doing bundle size, you need to do Marco. Yes. Well, again, not 100% agree. I think it's like a threshold thing, right? It's like I think I don't know, like Svelte, React, Solid, Marco, they are in the same like ballpark. Like you will not going to see the difference much there. If you're building like an app, if you're building MPA, like they will scale differently. Like on the Marco, like all of your pages are going to be small, while on kind of like the next gen, like the SSR frameworks, right? Like the isomorphic frameworks, like those will be bigger. Yeah, like for the kind of like landing page use cases compared to kind of like an app use case. Resumability pattern, yeah. So like one of the kind of like chunkiest bundle sizes eliminates traditional hydration, building instant interactivity. Uh, well, just don't agree with this thing at all, like at all. So it's not instant interactivity. Like you have to build like your app like in a specific scale, specific like kind of app and all that stuff where this is true. By default for Hello World, for like this like Kanban thing, it will be like slower to interact than anything else. Marco, Next.js are only sorry. Marco and Next.js are only if you're backend JS, which is completely marginal in the real world. SPA still king. Yes, 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 yes. That's there's that as well. Okay. Established frameworks can compete. Okay. Uh, yeah, it's twice as small as Next. While kind of like yeah, I'm curious why FCP is so different in his case for Next. We had a guy who was saying that like Next could be optimized. Like I'm curious if there is like an easy fix that will like bring Next into FCP that is closer. But yeah, view architecture allows computer mobile performance, maintaining mature ecosystem. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is a great in terms of like buckets, right? In a bucket where you have React, Angular, and Vue, like oh, like the bucket, like ecosystem bucket, Vue is not in the same bucket like in performance. I would say that this is like long term. If you're comparing like a Vue over the history, usually Vue was like slightly faster than React and Angular. React and Angular were mostly kind of like the same. Again, depends on the application. Angular used to be like much slower, but they like caught up eventually. So React and Angular, kind of like Vue, React, Angular, right? And they have kind of like big enough ecosystem, right? Like you can find most of the things that you need, right? Like React is obviously going to be easier, but it's like, oh, if I'm just using for like if I'm just looking for a big ecosystem thing, yes, Vue is like the best out of that one. I don't like Vue. I don't like Angular. So for me, because like I can optimize my React kind of like where it works, I kind of like would choose React out of those ones. And again, I don't use as much ecosystem kind of like day to day, so like I don't care about ecosystem as much. I actually just prefer React to Vue or whatever. But it's a great argument for Vue. Like I like this, and Next is like in my mind, Next competes with like Remix. They don't compete with Next.js. Like that train. What's that? That ship has sailed. Scaling differences. Yes, MPA frameworks. Interesting that HTMX is a framework, but okay. Minimal JavaScript per page. Again, depends if you do React or Solid or Svelte or like whatever Vue Vapor. Like your JavaScript on page is going to be less than HTMX, right? Like it depends on kind of like how much interactivity you have. Like for the hello world, HTMX is going to be like 3 times bigger than like all those like next gen frameworks. Nobody is competing with Next. Well, uh, yeah, they're trying to. Okay, SPA ships routing and runtime with a higher baseline, yes. But then, like again, like you will have like instant interactivity and all that stuff, right? That that is like a different experience, right? So it's like people are willing to send more JavaScript to get like that experience, right? So like to get like client side routing. So I wish this was kind of like mentioned in the article. Okay, Marco delivers a yeah, bundles, blah blah blah. Uh, yeah, yeah. Okay, but yeah, SPA maintains, right? So like once I downloaded all that stuff, I for the most part I will keep it, which is kind of like not really true in the real world, right? In the real world, it's like, oh, the checkout page is going to have like 2 MB of like stripe, right? And you can't really like for the most part, like some of this thing is going to be true, but again, like React usually cares kind of like less about bundles. So like the same library that like React version and like small like a more modern version, like React is going to be bigger just because like people don't care. Okay. Um, okay. I'm trying to figure out how I can read it, especially given the time. Okay. Um, Okay, I think I'm going to start kind of like scheming. Okay, so uh, React has performance ceiling, right? So usually, like React performance ceiling, there are multiple React performance ceilings. So there is like SSR speed, right? React is one of the slowest, kind of like just like server templating languages. Actually, I think I was surprised that like it's not much slower than like Astro, right? So like given that like Astro doesn't have as much kind of like overhead of like being isomorphic and all that stuff. I think they like improved some of this stuff since measured it, but I remember that like Astro and like Angular or React were like maybe like Astro was like twice faster or something like that, and like Marco is like 30 times faster, right? So and again, like usually in your application, you have some sort of like a database call or like a fetching like a third party service. So like the like for real kind of like latencies that doesn't like translate as much, right? So like that's one performance. The other one is like kind of like updates performance, right? The JS framework kind of like benchmark like level, right? Performance. So and again like the bundle size. So it's like yeah, easy to download and React like in all three. Okay, so we're talking about like the bundle sizes. I kind of like know most of this stuff, and there will be like a chart later, so I'm going to kind of like skip that part. Um, yeah, so we're doing mobile optimization because that's like my thing is that like the tools that we have to measure kind of like performance right now is like the field data like from Google, right? Google Page Insights and the no Crux, right? Like the something like user experience and the like Lighthouse. For the last I don't know like 5 years, every framework, every website, they just give you like 100 on the desktop, right? Like the desktop is solved. You can use anything and it will be fine on the desktop. Like as far as like we know how to measure, right? So you have to do uh the and that's why people don't care, right? It's like because like oh, like my boss has like M5 Mac and like it works fine on their machine, right? Like that's why people don't care. That's why like performance is like a marginal thing that like only people who care talk about, right? On desktop, you're getting 100 scores like for the last 5 years. So like, why would you care? Why would you even like think about it, right? So that's why you have to do the like a mobile like network or mobile like CPU things. And yeah, this is like a bigger aside, like the history. That why SPA happened, because we started using like a very beefy desktop computers, and people started updating their browsers. So like the feature that came out like 1 or 2 years ago, like suddenly that's a feature that you could use, that which wasn't true like in the Internet Explorer kind of like days, right? They are like, if that wasn't true, like we would have still, like how everyone hates like writing email templates, like that would have been like still the HTML today if like Chrome and like automatically updating like Chrome and Firefox didn't happen, right? Like that was the change. Like it was like, oh, get all the latest features from all the latest browsers like instantly, right? That was a big change. And we were like, oh, I have this huge CPU or in like thousands or like millions of my users. Why would I waste my SSR resources, right? If I can just like let them do it. And we were on a great trajectory. The web components, the HTML imports, like everything was great until iPhone, right? And until like they said, oh, there's like mobile web that is like completely separate, and it's like you're doing like AMP, like VAP or whatever, like you're doing like completely separate app for a mobile now. Yeah. That's no longer true. We're going to use desktop sites on a mobile phones now, like in iOS, right? And that's when this whole thing crashed down. It was like, oh, I no longer have unlimited CPU. Oh, I no longer have unlimited cache. I no longer have like again, like PWA, right? Right now it's like, oh, that's like for phones, right? It's like that was for desktops. We were doing things that is like, oh, let me just go have like a Google what is it called? Google Docs, right? Let me just have an app on the desktop that is like Google Docs, and it will save offline like 200 megabytes of my documents, right? That was like a different world from the one that we live right now. Uh, One thing to keep in mind is that Core Web Vitals is a reliable only initial page load. Well, they're changing that, right? Like the Core Web Vitals has INP, and that's why that's why like React talks about performance and like React conf, right? It's like, that's why they talk about performance. They need to improve INP. They need to improve LCP. Those are the things that like LCP. Yes, that's like a bit of kind of like initial load, but like INP is like, oh, is your app fast? And again, like, is it fast enough? And again, like all the desktops, like they're all green for the last 5 years. You don't have to care about desktop, but on a phone where you have, and the core web vitals are only collected on Androids, they don't collect it on iOS. So on your iOS, you're probably doing fine as well because it has like a bigger chip and whatnot. But like all of your Androids, they're all reporting that it's slow because the Androids are slow. Yeah. Uh, yeah. So anyway, and I would say again, like mobile web, again, like I think there are two things. So one thing is like mobile kind of like speeds and mobile kind of like network speeds and mobile like CPU speeds, and uh, overall like in America, like both of those are better. The phones are more expensive, and the kind of like the 5G and 4G kind of like is everywhere. So you kind of like, this is not as big of a problem. But and then again, it's like, if anything, if you're using like not Next, you're not going to be bottlenecked by CPU. Uh, and kind of like network is going to be kind of like your problem in America. But like in the rest of the world, they might have like a faster networks actually than like in the US. It's kind of like, well, if they live in a city and they are using your app, they will probably have like faster like mobile network, but they will have like a worse CPUs, right? So I think like mobile web is basically kind of like like US mobile web is like, how do we optimize network speed and like bundle sizes, and the rest of the world, so something like, I don't know, like on a Facebook scale, right? They care more about kind of like CPU limitations than network. And then again, it's like, well, the network you can cache if the users are constantly using. Okay, I need to speed up. I need to read the rest of the article in 10 minutes. Okay, so yes, mobile web. So uses the same database, the same features. This is the part that like I'm like it explains why he spent like 7 weeks working on this. But I'm like very skeptical about like how you can build the same features. Uh, Now he has like this article about progressive complexity. Yeah, yeah. Which I think is like interesting terms, but kind of like hardly usable day to day. While mobile performance matters, well, I was trying to say some of that. Uh, Blah blah blah. Yeah, the difference between framework shipping 70 versus 170 isn't academic. I think it is though. I think for the most part, like um I never seen a website that ships 100 kilobytes of JavaScript, right? Like all of them will ship like 2 megabytes of JavaScript. It's basically the question of like how are they doing it so that like it's still performant. And the what is kind of like happening a lot, right? Is like your 2 megabytes. That's like Google Tag Manager and all of that stuff, right? And like the intercom widgets and all that stuff. So like this part, unfortunately, is not even like the problem, right? It's like for like real life LCP, you're going to be hitting like font optimization problems. Party Town, yeah, we tried to do Party Town, and it was like tricky. Yeah, basically, like our marketing team just like said that they don't trust Party Town, and it's like it's too like risky. Yeah, so this is not going to be like your real bottleneck. Your real bottleneck is going to be fonts and like third party scripts, right? The Where this matters is that like while your browser is busy loading 2 megabytes of JavaScript for tracking, can your framework be booted up like quickly enough and all that stuff? So that's kind of like how I see kind of like real life like performance or whatever. Um, Bundles cause slow performance, research, blah blah blah. Right. The slower your website, the more people will drop your website. Yeah, I think it's like especially for something that is like e-commerce, right? I'm buying kind of like the thing. I have 3 links from Google that show exactly the same price. I'm just going to click on like one of them, and I will just like remember which one is slow and not click on it again, right? Like that's like very true. Um, okay. Right. 100 kilobytes, like at 3G speeds. Again, like no one has 3G speeds. Like even in America, right? Like no one has 3G speeds anymore. So like that's why in DevTools right now, like the default is like 4G, right? It's like this was a great argument, uh, like almost like 7 years ago, right? Right now, it's not really like a problem anymore. And yeah, and like parse execution CPUs. Yeah, again, like a bit less in America, but like in the world, it does matter. Like parsing 500 kilobytes of JavaScript, even if you got them sent gzip, like on your mobile device, you will still have to like create megabytes of RAM just like to represent all of those strings and whatnot. Um, on 4G, the gap shrinks. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's maybe like again, like that's a hard thing with benchmarks. Is like I'm just saying that like those like 100 kilobytes things, like they don't matter as much in like in real life. But like, how do you make it so so it starts to matter. I don't know, but it's cached, right? Which in reality, not working out great, because like uh, everyone ships like every day, right? So like like by the time that you visit the website again, it's like yeah, so the cache is already gone. Um, okay, yeah, needed to see full range of options. I think it's great that like he did so many frameworks. Uh, okay, okay, Kanban board, next.js, even with compiler. I don't think compiler will like help on that scale, but I don't think it's going to hurt either. So like that should be fine. Interesting that like he didn't do React compiler for TanStack. That's that's a bit strange. Yeah, I saw the TanStack was solid. Haven't tried that yet, but have heard good things. Browser cache is the biggest need in the modern web. Farm could fix it. What's farm? Uh, next for blah 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 analog. Yeah, it's interesting. Like he didn't use the like the built-in Angular one. Because I think it's so bad that like no one uses that. Is that the situation? Like I'm always like confused. Like why people are not using the like the built-in one. Right. So Marco. Yeah, that's a bit silly. Okay. Fine grained reactivity runes. Yeah, it's again, it's like a marketing thing. Their reactivity is done through signals. It's just runes are just the syntax to get it, right? It's the same thing of like I can use geotie in React. I will get like fine grained reactivity. Just the syntax is going to be hooks. So yeah, I don't like svelte marketing. That's I don't know if you can tell. Yes, quick CT resumability. Again, like depends on your application. If you don't optimize your application, how do I say it? You have like SSR framework here, and you have resumability or like Astro kind of like islands or the whatever the like the Marco automatic islands, right? It's like you're going to build like different applications using those things, right? So either you're making a benchmark that is using all of the like the native features, and then it's not the same application, or you're building the same application, but then this application doesn't match the best practices of the framework, or you have to build three versions of the same application that is like, oh, this is Next.js, kind of like just server side. They don't have that, kind of like really, right? Or kind of like I'm thinking like Remix without like a script tag. It's like yeah, like you can't write like a real app with that. So then you like whatever the framework he did, then he needs to like write like multiply that by three, right? And like all of the three of those applications, and I just like don't get how that could play out. Um, okay, sending me some link. Uh, Beat compatible build tool. I think I heard about Farm. I don't remember Chinese. Yeah, maybe. What does that? Yeah, I think it like helps with your like Vite stuff, but I don't know how that translates into like production use case, right? Because I think I heard it in context of like dev time, incremental compilation. Yeah. Oh, is that the one where they will like they will know that you already published this version of the bundle, and even though like 10% of the bundle is no longer used, you are still keeping it there in CDN, so that like the hash. Yeah. I think that's the one. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. I forgot about it. Yeah. I like that will help you like more with caching. But again, I don't think like caching helps that much. Anyway, so he's talking about the like implementation, right? Like what he did. So it's the same kind of like features, the same kind of like drag and drop, presumably. Form validation server side, right? Again, it's like if you do it client side, then your bundle is going to be bigger, but like not for everything. So styling with Daisy UI I mentioned. Let's go. Yeah, so the code here, that's the code that I have open. Right. So intentionally minimizes dependencies so that like you don't measure kind of like dependencies, right? Um, don't do client fetching libraries because again, like either you are going to add like Redux to Marco, and it's going to look silly, or you're not going to add Redux to Marco, and that's going to be kind of like not fair. So I think that's fun. Yeah, 10 stack query alone weights approximately gzipped. Is that? I think it's more like that number actually looks small. I think it was bigger before. Yeah, so he was measuring bundle sizes, 10 runs, clear cache, um, blah blah blah. Okay, so oh, he also used compiler for 10 stack. Okay, that was like a question earlier. I guess it wasn't like written the way that I understood. Okay. Uh, am I look? Oh yeah, I was like, am I not looking at the whole table? Yeah. Okay, so signals plus reusability, data fetching, right? A built-in one. Uh, yeah, interesting. Next also has like multiple like ways of fetching it. I think this is like the modern one, so it should be fine. Uh, okay, that's all good. Uh, Mutations or reactions, sure, that's API route for HTMX. Database, I'm presuming it's the same one. Yeah, SQLite. Styling, the same. Drag and drop library. Oh, interesting. So he had to use different drag and drop libraries. Yeah, and some of them are native. I guess like my question is like if you had a native one, why can't you just use that one for everything? Yeah, that's or if you're using it for like HTMX, just to like use this one everywhere. Yeah, this is where it gets a bit tricky. Yeah, you can see how wheat is like weaning, and this one is going to be wheat soon. And this one is basically wheat as well. Yeah, so that's funny. Okay. Um, okay, so I'm like curious about the architecture. Yeah, so we're going to compare kind of like React one and the like the Marco one. I'm actually going to do so it's easier to compare. I'm actually going to do this. Okay. um, so streaming SSR with fine grained reactivity. Compiler analyzes reactivity graph at build time and compiles away components themselves. I'm not sure that's exactly like true, but okay. Only minimal code is needed. Uh, yeah, it's like close to resumability basically. 12 has built-in drag and drop support, so it makes sense to use it. Yeah, it's still like that's the problem of like, are you building the same app or are you building like the yeah? No, don't want to repeat that. Okay, so he just like understand explains how like Marco works. Okay, this one is a bit more like how he implemented it without the RC complexity. I don't think it's I don't think it's that complex. Yeah, it's just like yeah. I don't like some of the like the marketing parroting kind of things. It's like yeah sure. Okay. What about HTMX? Um, okay. No client side framework. HTML handles all interactivity. Okay, well, that's a way. You have to be building like a very specific app where all the interactivity can be covered by HTMX. Okay. Fairness check. Pin version, identical data volume, all measurements used, blah blah blah. Okay. Why expanded from 3 frameworks? That's interesting. Like, just for the size of this article, there should have been 3 articles. One article is kind of like just like the benchmark, right? Here is what I think about performance. The other article is like, here is what I think about like the state of the frameworks, kind of like in general. And the third article is like how I wrote those 2 articles. Because like this is, yeah, there's like too much kind of like stuff happening here. Okay, so yeah, so he wasn't happy with like how next.js was playing out. So he wait, where is it? He started thinking about like Angular. Okay, I'm going to skip a lot of this stuff. React Native for mobile. In practice, React Web trades model size for the goals, meaning to pursue. I don't know if it's true. Okay, I'm going to be stopping on the ones that like I don't think are true. Oh, Lauren subscribed. Is that the right Lauren? Thank you. Oh, because you can't chat on YouTube until you subscribe. I got it. Yeah. I'm also streaming on like Twitter and Twitch. If you don't want to subscribe to my YouTube. Okay, where I was going with this. Yes. So let's talk about React Native. React Web Runtime trades bundle for other goals. Many teams pursuing top-tier mobile performance choose React Native. The architectural choices that make React heavy for the web are deliberate. They solve real problems for desktop and the app development, but for the mobile web, React position is essentially use React Native instead. Okay, so there are 2 things, right? So like one is React Web is slow because they have React Native. This is the part that I don't like. I don't think it's true, kind of like in any way. Like the way that React Native, like the React package, is like 3 kilobytes or whatever. I forgot, like unzipped. It just declares kind of like the types, right? Then you use React, like dash DOM or dot dash web. I forgot, right? It's like then you use a package that actually like implements everything. And I think the only part that they share is the like the scheduler or whatever between React Native and React Web. So it's like they don't have to make React Web slow because they're using React Native, right? Like that that doesn't make sense. They are using like different libraries for React Web and React Native. So they like their whole idea is just like so that it just has like the same interface, right? So it does have the same interface. It doesn't have to be like one of them doesn't have to be slower because of the other thing. And the argument of like, well, they don't need to solve React Web performance because they have React Native. I think this is like wrong on 2 levels. First of all, React Native is not that performant. Like your web application with React Web is probably going to be like overall like it will feel, unless you use Next, of course, right? But like your kind of like React SPA will feel probably like better than your React Native app. Not a huge React Native fan. I tried it before, kind of like pretty long ago, so they kind of like did improve since then. But it's still React Native. It's still like pretty slow. I think they will figure it out eventually, right? That's like a big philosophical kind of like thing with React is that they will have, how to say it? The big philosophical thing with React is that the Joe Savona will go out in ReactConf and say, "Hey, we are working on a faster React." It will happen like 5 or 10 years later. But everyone who's using React right now, they're like, well, I don't have to do anything. Like in 5 or 10 years, React is going to be like as fast as Solid anyways. Like, why would I care? Right? So they will always like over promise the thing and like under deliver. And it is like fine for the most people, right? It's like, well, in 5 years I can add like a suspense boundary and whatnot, and it will be faster, right? And like in the meanwhile, I can just use the slow thing because they promised me the faster one. So that's like a big thing with like React like philosophy, right? Like the parts that I don't like. And React Native is like that, right? It's like, oh, it's a great tool. Like, is it performant? No, but like it will be eventually. So like, don't worry, just like use it right now, and then like once you switch to React 25, it will be all great, right? So anyway, don't like this paragraph. I think it's a bit like misleading and whatnot. So did I say the other one? Yeah. So like, uh, React team doesn't tell you to use React Native instead of React Web on the web. So I don't think this is true. Okay, they do. The Facebook does build React Web on mobile. That's like, but they just have like a different app. If I don't, if I'm not mistaken, I think they have like three apps. Like they have like three different apps for like React, just depending on like where you are from. And just like, yeah, they can just like afford that. They can just make a like a separate app that is like a bit lighter, doesn't use as much style, but like can still use React. So yeah, I think they're fine. Yeah, and their mobile app, I don't think it's React Native. All right, it's like native. Yeah, so don't like this section. Yeah, so my thing is like the problem is their strategy. Like their strategy is like over promise and under deliver, right? And that's their strategy. That's the strategy that I don't like. This part is not really true, I think. Okay, I'm going to skip all this stuff. Other frameworks make a different bet. They don't, right? Like all of them try to do the Vue native, solid native, whatever. So I don't think that's like a fair thing to say. Yeah, and I will say this part. So it's like, hey team, why won't we just build like a native app if all of the users are going to be on the go, right? Because of like, well, you still need to do the data fetching, you still need to do the uh like the parts that are going to be slow, like in your native apps, are like the same parts, right? It's going to be like kind of like network interactions and all that stuff. So it's like you still could like benefit from React server components on React Native, right? There's like, or like whatever, like the patterns, not exactly like the tech. Okay, so bundle size reality check. Like he already kind of like talked about that like three times in the article above. So I don't know why we're doing this again, or why we were doing that there. Okay, so uh, okay, so he has two different pages, the home page and the board page. That's where I was saying is like, oh, you will basically need to like write three apps. He wrote two apps, right? So the mark on the board page, like it has the bigger bundle, and that makes sense, right? Because like there's more interactivity. So but then it's like once you get into next, it's like the difference between the difference between like those two are the same, and like it's like funny that like for Angular it's literally the same. I guess they don't know how to split bundles. Right? Next is the same. Well, that's funny. They also don't know how to split bundles, or maybe like he didn't implement it. So that's like an interesting one. I'm curious, like the ones that are the same. That's like I would like. Oh, is that a skill issue? Like, am I doing something wrong? Okay, uh, so what do we see here, right? So we see that uh, if I'm using something like Marco, I have such a headway that like my smallest page on Quick is going to be less than like my biggest page on Marco, right? And once you get into like Next.js territory, like the framework itself is like so big here, right? Like the application is small, so like you can't even tell where the application is, right? And someone in the chat was saying, looks like, oh, like like doesn't like framework size just like doesn't matter. Well, in this case, for this application, right, like the application size doesn't matter, right? Like at least like analog and Nox think like that. uh, yeah. So the raw numbers, they're like hard to compare, right? Because like this is what translates more into like CPU performance than like network performance. So let's see if he has like a graph for the gzip ones. Wait, or was that the gzip? Uh, wait. 500 or 170. Yeah. So that's like before gzip. Okay. So he has Crocs in real world. Yeah. So like everyone who is like on the bottom of the Crocs, so like Next and Next and all of those things, they don't like that data set, right? Because like that shows them in the wrong light. And it's like the trouble with like Next.js being like at the bottom of the Crocs is that yeah, but like they didn't send 2 MB of Next. They sent 2 MB of like Google Tag Managers. It's just the teams who don't care about performance, they will choose Next, and that's why their app performs bad. Not because like Next, you can't build like a fast app with Next, right? So like obviously they hate like this whole thing, but like well that's your community. I don't know what to tell you, right? It's like the same thing for me is like PHP. It's like yeah, PHP could be fast, but like you have a community that like doesn't care about that, right? Like they care about Lambo money, right? So that's why your applications are slow. Not because like the tech itself is slow, it's just the community that's around it because it's slow. Vicious cycle. Okay, so next, roughly seconds in seller. Okay. Um, I don't see the seconds graph. Where are you getting the seconds graph? Yeah. Okay. We don't have the seconds graph. Like he's just saying it. Um, bundle sizes, meet complexity up, multiple routes, ship minimal page, staying lean, and as you add features. Well, again, depends on like are you adding server side features or client side features? Right, and like SPA frameworks ship routing, and that's why they can route client side. HTMX implemented bundle sizes with the simplest code base. Oh, that's interesting. Sacrifices client-side reactivity, right? It's like you could make client-side reactivity. You could use lift HTML. I'm missing comment. Speaking of Lambos, where is PHP? Yeah. Again, it's like, well, fork it, add PHP, add Go, and all that stuff, right? But then like, and again, like fork it into like and write like 3 different apps to better represent different approaches and all that stuff. And like by the end, your benchmark is like 100 applications, and no one can like tell the difference anymore. Okay. Um. 10 stack. Blah blah blah. Yeah, that's only like 35% improvement. Again, it depends on the app size, right? Like this doesn't represent kind of like real world app, I would say, right? In the real world app, you would have application code kind of like more than your framework code, right? So and the like though that application code is going to scale like differently, right? For Marco, more of it is going to be server side, so like the bundle side impact is not going to be as big. For Next, if you're especially if you're not using React server components, right? It's like all of it is going to be client side. Like the same goes for like us, Angular and like Vue and whatnot. So yeah, it's hard to judge from like this one app how it will scale for more complicated apps. I think that's where I'm going, but yeah, so that like difference, how to say, like you can also like write Astro plus React, right, and don't have a sort of client side router, and that will be like a different, like that's almost like 2x bundle size. So like, I know that he's coming into this as like, oh, I don't like React, let me create a benchmark that shows that, and it's like, sure, if I was writing a benchmark, I would show that like you could use React. right? That's just our uh, Laravel Blade was top 5 most growing languages. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Okay, so uh, the React runtime architecture is primary cost. Again, I'm not 100% sure about that. It's yeah, like I think React is wait, what I was thinking. I think React is like 40 kilobytes, like React 18. 19 is a bit bigger. So like in Next, it's like only a third of the bundle, I think. Right? So yeah, I don't know. Like some of the conclusions are just like he already knew those conclusions before he ran a benchmark. That's just like how it reads a bit. Um, okay. Uh, RSC adds a substantial overhead. Client components marked as reuse client. You need to serialize everything, and you need runtime to serialize. Well, like the same for like all of the other ones. So I don't see how that's different. And you can again, like you can use simpler SSR approach. Like why are we talking about it as a difference between frameworks? But then again, it's like, is he going to write like 10 apps just like next with SSR, next without SSR, tan stack with SSR, tan stack without SSR, right? It's just going to be annoying. All right. Smaller than 10 stack start with React. Yeah. So that's like an interesting. That's the part that like I like from this comparison. Because how to say it? Yeah, I didn't play with that yet, but like that's like a more kind of like apples to apples, right? It's like, well, we are writing like the same app, just like using those two things differently, and it's 128 to 41. Okay. Uh, which again, like in those 128, half of it is React. In those 41 is like, I don't know, probably half of it is no, probably like third of it is solid, and like the other one is like router. Svelte kit. Oh, interesting. The Svelte kit is bigger than 10 stack start. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Uh, yeah, and Quick is pretty big. Like you have to write like a pretty big app where Quick delivers better bundles than like Preact, which puts Quick in a funny position. Okay. From the scrolling position, like I feel like I'm halfway in. Synthetic events again, like it's just like saying things that like are believed to be true in the community that are like not really true. It's like, what does synthetic events have to do with anything? I don't know. See Preact for like does he have Preact? Right, he doesn't have Preact. Okay, he just like mentions it. Okay, and again, like that's not real size as well, right? Like once you are using frameworks, going to be like real size is going to be much bigger than this. It's going to be like comparable to like solid. Okay, so React was solid. Yeah, that's the part that like interesting. Uh, okay, so smaller bundle. Like I don't know how to say it, but like at this point, it almost reads like a AI written article because like it will like say the same thing like 5 times over and over again. Like I feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over again now. Okay. Okay. So uh metrics. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm like trying to figure out how I want to read it. Okay. So Next gen frameworks all achieve instant performance. The like 40 milliseconds first contentful paint, uh, much faster than Next. Uh, right. So like that whole bunch is basically kind of like identical, and you can pick from like just like what you like. I think you already said that, but I think that's fine. Uh, Next, uh, if you're kind of like the ecosystem, right? If you are stuck with React, but also uh, it is annoying that like he doesn't mention React Router. I don't know if that's like just like their reputation or whatever, but like React Router is actually like a good technical like solution for things. So it's a bit unfortunate that like no one talks about them. Uh yeah. Yeah, this is like over indexing a bit on the bundles. Like I'm reading the bundle numbers already like ten times by now. Okay. But hiring, but ecosystem. Okay. So yeah, that was like I was saying, right? Like the community is the ones who don't care. So it's like if you're picking a thing from this community, like it will also be worse than like the analogous thing from another community. So but it's risky. Yeah. Yeah, well, like not for everyone, right? Like shipping 3x larger bundles on to mobile users, like he's saying it's an actual risk. It's not actual risk for everyone, right? Like that's the thing. Is like yes, that's true, but like people are sending like 2 megabytes of JavaScript. Like you're forgetting that part, and like they're using it on like desktop with M5. So if you think that the bundle size is the biggest thing ever, and if you think that you are kind of like the complexity of your application is such that you're basically kind of like going to stay in the like the 30 kilobyte range for like your whole application, sure, this is like choosing 3x larger thing. But if you're writing bigger application, and if you don't care as much about like, your mobile performance as most of the people, right? Like they are in a position where they don't care about mobile users as much, and their application is not as small as 30 kilobytes. That's why like they don't see this risk, right? Um, Desktop only usually escape performance discipline entirely. 6 months later, someone can ask, "Can I use it on the phone?" They do, and the answer is no, and they're like, "Well, too bad." And just like continue going. And again, like 170 kilobytes is like not the number that's going to kill you. Like your like one font is going to be bigger than that. I think this article is like over indexing on this. Um so like he was linking the Crux report, right? None of the website in Crux report have 170 kilobytes. Like all of them are 2 megabytes, right? So like this argument comparing like the 3x thing, like the 3x thing is true. 170 things 76 thing is not true, because uh like 170 is only true for a very small app. It will scale like that further, right? Like it like because you choosing Next, you're going to use Next libraries and you're going to write it for Next. Your whole application, once it gets to like 2 megabytes, right, that's going to be 3x more than like a 600 kilobytes if you have used solid, right? You should have done like that comparison, right? Then like this one said, like no one who is writing Next.js right now will see at this number and say, oh yeah, that convinces me, right? Like no one sees those numbers like day to day, so they don't care. uh, the mental models are often simpler. um, Streaming patterns, oh, streamline patterns, I see. uh, okay. um, Alternative especially compelling for mobile first applications. Yeah, I would say that's true. Just I wish you used like a better numbers. uh, okay. Smallest bundles, choose marker, of course. Yeah, and again, like it doesn't matter that the bundle is like 6 kilobytes. It matters that it will scale better, right? So that's like a bit of like a wrong kind of like um, takeaway or whatever. If you want JSX, choose Solstar. I don't like this argument. I think it's like it is a bit of like a disservice to like Preact and like Solid and all that stuff. It's like, oh, it's just like React, but just like better. It kind of like rubs me the wrong way, but yeah, I see like that's still kind of like the view of the community basically. Um, okay, best all around developer experience. Interesting. Svelte kit, approachable syntax, excellent defaults. Yeah, but then again, you go into this like thing about like churn, and it's like, oh, React doesn't innovate; they just churn. Svelte kit like changed everything about their framework, right? And just like is that part of the decision? Like it doesn't look like it. Resumability. Okay. Quick city. If you have a large application that demands immediate interactivity and load with significant client-side functionality, at this numbers. It's nice. Okay. Yielding instant time to interact. Again, like just marketing terms without like any kind of like justification. Yeah. So disagree with this one. Basically, like the problem with Quick is that like it's just worse Marco, right? It's like, well, that's Marco that we had at Google. So like I built Quick, and it's like cool. I can still just use Marco though, right? And it's like, why are you not saying JSX familiarity, right? It's like Quick is using JSX. Why are you not putting this one? Yeah, like this just like reads a bit like kind of like AI generated. It's like, yes, those words are kind of like true on their own, but like, why are you putting them in this order? Yeah. So my kind of like read on Quick is that it's not the smallest. It's not the smallest bundle size, and it's not the fastest interactivity, right? So Quick is in a like a weird position of like, well, it's like Marco but with JSX. So like I wouldn't put it as this. I would just put it as like, hey, if you want to mark with JSX, kind of like Quick is your best option, or wait for like Solid to add resumability basically. Choose Next if you want ecosystem. Yeah, and like I think Angular goes into the same argument, right? It's also like a very big ecosystem. The problem with Angular is like they just like don't care about SSR at all, right? So like if you're doing the oh, I want to do small bundle size and like mobile performance and whatnot, it's like, yeah, Angular is not it. It's just the ecosystem, right? And but Next is like kind of it's almost as like uh I think they'll like the vapor mode, right? Like with vapor mode, that's going to be kind of like as fast as Solid and Svelte, and they have like a bigger ecosystem. Which again, like, well, then you need to wait for all the ecosystem to be rewritten. So kind of like choose either of those, right? Either choose the best performance, but then you could have chosen Svelte or Solid, or you choose the ecosystem and then you don't get the best performance. So I don't know how to yeah. And again, like, why are you not yelling at them at big bundle size, right? Like they have big bundle size, but you're not yelling here. Um, Scaling considerations, blah blah blah. While SPA like ship with both use cosplay. Again, just like too general. Like you're not saying what I think you should be saying. Um, okay. React wouldn't be okay. When developer have real alternatives, everyone wins. React wouldn't be adding compiler if Solid and Svelte weren't providing automatic. No, I don't think so. When they introduced hooks, they said there will be a compiler that will like do hooks automatically. It will be 10 years later, right? It's like that's the like my like React kind of like thing, right? It's like they're like use hooks now. In 5 years or 10 years, they are going to be great. they were saying about compiler, like no one cared about Svelte or Solid back then. So yeah, this is again like a marketing thing, not true. Um, uh, right. The entire ecosystem when we stop accepting good enough, right? So like, so this is true in is like, yes, we need to pressure kind of React to be better, but also they're not getting better because like no one pressures them. So so based on this evaluation, he said to his team that he wants to use Marco, Solid Start, or SvelteKit if we are doing performance based kind of like rewrite. I agree. I think if you're doing performance based rewrite, this is a great option. I would add it depends on how much kind of like the ecosystem you want to do, right? Like why am I not using this? Why am I not using Marco Solid Start as well kit, right? It depends on the ecosystem, right? And the kind of like the team dynamics and whatnot. So what I do is I use Astro plus a React plus Solid, right? Astro is like second framework after Next in terms of ecosystem, right? Well, I guess Next maybe bigger. I think there was like one of the surveys or whatever that like Astro overtook Next recently, so I think they are number two, right? Huge ecosystem with Astro. Um, all the performance that you want from Solid and all the like the small bundles, right? Like with Astro, your default is 0. And again, it's like, hey, should he create like another version of this thing? Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe I should go and like write a like my stack there, right? And to show how we can use it. But anyway, so um, Astro, Solid, and React. If I need React, I can do it. If I can afford it, I can use Solid for the like the performance critical parts, and I use Astro for ecosystem, right? Or and kind of like React for ecosystem. So, uh, but yeah, if you're just starting from scratch, you don't care about kind of like any of the those concerns. I would say, yeah, this is the list. This is the like the I'm doing performance list. Don't look at the quick, unfortunately, right? Um, I would say you might look at Preact, but I don't know. Like it is like the like the biggest framework after React, I think, by like usage numbers and whatnot. And React is very good for like a very like embedded kind of like thing, right? So like, oh, I need to send a widget, and it's like React will give you the like the smallest bundle because Marco, like, you will have to do SSR, right? Like if you're doing widget, you don't have SSR, right? So like um it's a good list. If you want kind of like more ecosystem, right? You would want to figure out if you care about maybe Preact, Astro, TanStack, but yeah, that's the list. I agree. Finally, like after scrolling for a while, we found the thing that I like. Uh, okay. I will be and again, it just depends on the syntax, right? Like you just look at it. The Marco, Solid, and Svelte will all look very different. And some people will say, I like this one and I hate those two. And you just kind of like vote and use the one that like enough people like, right? Because like they are showing the like the how to say it, the scale, the different options. Okay, so Lighthouse. Okay, I haven't seen that table yet. What are we doing? The trouble with Lighthouse is that it's probably going to be like 100. Yeah. You have to use it with like a very like big CPU slowdown, or kind of like better yet, you just go to page speeds insights. It's going to be like very noisy, so you have to like rerun it like 10,000 times. But like you're not going to get any different number on like your desktop. Sorry, using your like computer without like artificially like slowing it down, you're not getting any other number than 100. So again, doesn't translate in real world, unfortunately. So I would say that like I don't like how this benchmark. And again, bundle sizes again, you are showing this like for the 15th time already. Okay, FCP, it's only next. Yeah, there's like something wrong. You're running it without any slowdowns. Like all of those numbers should be the same. Like there's like something wrong. Like make a slowdown bigger, and then you will get like a more real data here. Yeah, I wouldn't kind of like take away from this table anything. Okay, so I'm going to like skip this whole section. Uh, all frameworks feel instant in optimal condition on desktop with Wi-Fi. Blah blah blah. Hydration with resumability. Again, like you're saying this the marketing term for the fifth time, not explaining what it actually means. uh, and now you're saying that Marco is resumable. You didn't say that any time before. Yeah, I'm like dunking on this article for too much, but I think it's like how to say it. I think if you would have like split it up into three articles, you would like notice that you're saying the same thing like three times in the same article, and like those articles would have been better. Because like this feels like oh, let me revise this section, and you write the your conclusion in that section again. Oh, let me revise that section, and just like you just like wrote the same article like just like in multiple places just because you were like revising it or something. That's kind of like how it reads. Okay, aren't you comparing MPA to SPA? Okay, finally, interesting things. Okay, this isn't a to-do app. It's a solid mid complexity app with real database. Again, make database slower, and then it will be real. Drag and drop, optimistic updates, blah blah blah. Okay, so routing pattern misses the point that the activity models matter more with features like view transitions and API. Okay, so you're like, oh, MPA is better anyway. So like, why do we care about client side reactivity? But like, why didn't you remove it? Right, write all of them on Astro. Just use React, Solid, Angular, whatever. Right, it's like and just like don't have a router there. Then it will be fair to compare. Small ecosystem again. Okay, complexity. Okay, so like another dunk on React, which I will probably disagree again. Okay, React has rules of hooks. Sure, all of them do. Um, uh, blah blah blah. State management. Okay. State in React, state in Solid, state in Runes, state in Vue, state here, state that. Okay. Marco, state in HTML. Okay. Okay, so this is just like a comparison. Okay. Uh, okay. It doesn't look like I feel like there is like an easier way to do it in Vue. Like I don't know what's the way, but like this feels a bit not it. If you're just comparing like the kind of like the mental overhead, I don't think people will write this in Vue. So okay. And I'm not sure you need to do that in Quick. I forgot. They have effects and split effects. Okay. What he like he's trying to he's showing like two versions. So like this is one version and this is another version. Why he's not showing two versions for all of those then? That's two different ways. Oh, I see. Well, why? I just like I don't understand this kind of like oh maybe like to better compare to Quick because like Quick requires explicit tracking. Yeah, I don't know. You can just pound count watcher in Vue instead of getter. Right. Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, yeah. This just feels wrong. I don't know how to fix it, so I will leave it at that. At that. Server side data fetching. Okay, like this is interesting. Okay, so we are saying that in React Server Components, I can just use fetch. Is he going to show the 10 start way? Interesting. So like this section just like looks like he like forgot to rewrite it or something. uh, looks like regular components, works beautifully until it doesn't. Okay, it just like biases, right? It's like, oh, I don't like React, so let me just say that like I don't like it. And I don't know if that makes it like a fair comparison. Svelte kit. Uh, I'm not sure if that's again like the right way of Svelte kit. Like, don't they do like a separate file? Or remote functions with query experimental. Yeah, maybe like I'm thinking about like another way that's like the prod way, or maybe like more experimental than this one. Yeah, I don't use SvelteKit, so like I don't remember. But anyway, so it's a remote question, remote function. You mark it as query. Okay, fine. In component. Okay. Okay, so all of that is Svelte. I see. Okay. Yeah, maybe I just like didn't see this part of like in examples that I've been looking at. Okay, solid start, server function. No, he doesn't implement the get board. Explicit async resources with streaming support. Yeah, where do you get board? Okay, I don't think those are like equivalent. I think he's missing something here. Yeah, he's missing our server. Yeah. So, and I think he's missing frameworks as well. So, like, kind of like hard to judge, right? So a quick one is using route loader. Okay, so that's, but like he's not using it, right? So like he showed this one, and he show like he doesn't do the like the use part here as well. Okay, so next is use async data. Okay, so this looks like the client side hook, but also next I think have server functions, which I don't know how they're doing it. Quick is that short because it has the dollar sign. Yeah, but like what I'm saying is that here he does the like the how do you use it in template. Here it doesn't use it in template, right? So like that, so like this part is missing. He's showing kind of like this thing, and I think you can just like you could just like not do that part. You could just like use this in a template, but it is like it's like hard to compare which one is which, right? Because like he's showing it one way in one and the other way in the other. And I think Next is probably like in a similar boat where you can just use that. Wait, how do you use await in the client component? Okay, I'm curious if we can just like search that in his thing. Nope. Okay. What am I looking for? Just this word maybe? Or okay. Right. So inside of setup function, he has a wait inside of setup function. Okay, I haven't seen that one yet. Uh, yeah, each one is a different part. Solid missing server function and quick is missing usage. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so for view, why is it await? Is it actually going to await? Is it going to await like server side or something? This is like an interesting way because like it has the data, right? So this has to have the value. Okay, I don't know next, but like this looks like crazy to me, and there isn't enough like explanation of what's going on. view suspense on setup, right? So it will like await server side, but it will suspend client side. Okay, right. But then again, it's like it's not the same as this one, right? Like as this one, how do you say it? Like you can write the suspense and await kind of like yeah, I don't know. This is tricky to compare. Like all of them are going to be slightly different, and it's not clear what he was trying to show with this comparison. How complex they are, like how much code you need, because like this one was like too little code, so he just like decided to write comments, chastising it instead. Yeah. So anyway, analog, inject, load. Yeah, that's probably like something. Okay. Well, since I was starting to look at it, um, actually, I forgot that like I cloned it, so I can do this faster. Right. To signal. Okay. Require sync. Okay. So that's probably like their like suspense, how they're suspending it. Okay. So Marco route handler with global context. Server handler runs first. Sets data on page content. Okay. How does that work with router, right? I don't think Marco has a router, right? So they can't like suspend on this. Okay. So big three frameworks each carry conceptual complexity. React has rules around hooks and dependency arrays. Everyone does. Angular bring enterprise patterns like dependency injection. Again, like that's just like marketing terms, doesn't mean anything. Vue requires understanding of refs and value, but unlike React, has proven it can deliver performance despite complexity. Again, like you're saying this because you were like writing your lighthouse wrong, and you think that like that it shows that it doesn't. Like Vue is like not performing that well on mobile. And again, like you link to the Crocs article that is saying that, but here you like already forgot about it. Um, blah blah blah. Metaformers complexity, boundaries, analog brings full Angular DI. Next, okay, like too AI sounding, like doesn't mean anything. Most alternatives are especially simpler once learned. Okay, I don't get it. Most alternatives are conceptually simpler once learned. I don't think that means anything. Okay, Svelte is the most approachable. Uh, well, again, like which version of Svelte, right? Like the Svelte kit, like server functions were like rewriting, kind of like how they do it from version to version. So like which one is simpler? Solid automatic tracking, eliminate mail. Okay, I think it's again like just like words. Um, Compiler. What do you think about compiler? And again, the compiler is the thing that like kind of like solves the rules of hooks, right? It's just like it will automatically kind of like figure out what should be like memoized and whatnot. So since you were complaining about rules of hooks, are you saying that like this is going to be better? Compiler helps with re-render and removes manual minimization boilerplate, right? So like not as much complexity, I guess. Doesn't address the bundle size, of course, like it shouldn't. For the broad page, wild and stack ships, blah blah blah. Right. Like 20th time we're mentioning the bundle sizes. It can't eliminate from use effect. Right, that's true. The same way as like we're like tracking variables in Quick and Vue, right? Like that's still true. Compiler improves developer experience, which is valuable, but highlights React optimizes DOM re-renders. Not true. Uh, okay, while alternatives like Solid eliminate re-renders entirely through fine-grained creativity. Yeah, not true. SvelteKit compiler eliminates much of the runtime overhead of build time. Also not true. Quick eliminates hydration costs through resumability. Again, depending on how you think about Quick, I don't think that's true. Difference philosophy is clear, blah, blah, blah. Why this matters beyond frameworks. Okay. When you ship native apps to App Store, right? Well, I guess that's just like an argument for like why would you use web when you can use apps? Techno feudalism. It looks like yeah. It's like App Store is so tricky. Yeah. Web is different, no single company, but they do different security considerations as well. Yeah, this reads like a part for like his team to read, not for me. Okay. What started as a simple framework comparison turned into something more revealing. The data shows clearly what's possible, and frameworks prioritize mobile performance from the start. Again, like all of them prioritize it. It's just kind of like different. Like they're just measuring it differently. Like the React thinks that this is the fastest React that they can do on a mobile, right? They didn't just like ignore the thing. They tried it, and this is the best that they could do, right? They showed the React Fur thing, right, on the conference, and they're like, hey, we think we can make it maybe faster, maybe 10 years later, and you just have to wait, right? Like that's their that's their approach. Okay, if you think fundamentals, yeah, like the whole argument that like React by default, right? Like if you don't think that React is there by default, what do you do? Okay, better mobile performance for team server mobile professionals on blah blah blah. This goes paid or on every visit. Again, some caching and whatnot. So like you can make a PWA, right? So like if they have this app always, you can do service workers and whatnot. There are like multiple dimensions of mobile optimization. That's probably where I'm going. That's their motto. Yeah. Okay, so for anyone starting a new project, the evaluation raises the important question: is there a reason to make your app heavier than necessary? Right. I think the I think there are a couple of like tricky parts with this sentence. It's not clear how you get this number, right? Because again, if you're like migrating like from legacy app, this is going to be 0.2%, not 25x%, right? Because you have already the application, right? And or your application is like too big or whatever. And the necessary, right? The necessary part is the important one. Like you are saying that like what is necessary is like 10 kilobytes of JavaScript. How did you come up with that number? Well, you run a benchmark, you found that the smallest one is 10 kilobyte, and now you set the benchmark there, right? But like, why did you set it there? Right? There is like a whole article about like, oh, 14 kilobytes and whatnot. It's like, well, like, why not 14 kilobytes? Why not 35? Right? Like, why are you looking at the numbers in gzip and not like raw numbers, right? Like the raw numbers are like the how long does it take for like CPU to go through it, right? What is necessary? Like this is a big question that is like completely like this article is completely missing. How do you find the point that is necessary for like your use case or whatever, right? So the easy way, and like that's the way that like I like it. The easy way is that you try to build, you try to get a tool, and you get like the smallest number possible, and you just say, well, that's the baseline. That's the number that I'm going to get, right? Like I already got it, and now I'm setting my goal to that number. Like I did that for my performance rewrites, right? I made the version that was smaller, and I said, well, that's the goal, right? Like we're going to do that, and that's what is happening with like Next, right? Like how does Next come to the idea that like their bundle should be 180 kilobytes? They added all the things that they wanted. They looked at the things that they can remove, and they said, well, the 180 is the baseline. Like that's the number that we think is necessary, right? So that's like a again like a, that's like a the whole thing of like when you're sending your senior engineer to figure out which framework we want to use is that they will do the benchmark. They will look at the thing that they like, and they will say, "Oh yeah, that's the one that's hitting it," right? The scientific way of doing it is that you get the number first, and then you do the benchmark, right? You get the, I don't know, like a crux data or something like that, right? And you figure out what is your budget, and then you come up with a model that will show how your like kind of like real app will scale, right? Because like you're not going to build the app that is going to be there in production in 2 years, but you need to know what that number is going to be, right? So like this thing, like in 2 years in production, none of those numbers are going to stay the same, right? Like even the next with 200 kilobytes, like that's not going to be 200 kilobytes. Like that will be like a megabyte by the time that you're finished with it, right? So like to do this task, right? That like he was tasked with, like, hey, choose the best framework. You need to jump and like get a number that he didn't get. You need to jump and get benchmark that's like more representative on real world, and like he didn't get that, right? And then you need to pick the frameworks that like hitting that number, right? And like he didn't do that, and I'm in the same boat. I did the same thing for my like two of my companies, like one like 5 years ago and the other is like a year and a half ago. I did the same thing, and I also just built it, just looked at the number and said that this is the benchmark, right? I didn't do it the scientific way. Yeah, but if you're spending like 7 weeks and writing this many letters, like you need to at least like say those things out loud. This is the part that like I don't like. All right, that he did the thing that I did lazily, but he's presenting it as a bit more like than it is. Anyway, uh yeah, so adding all these libraries and all that stuff, making the real world even larger. Well, how do you know, right? It's like, how do you know that like it will scale like that? How do you know that adding auth library to next will increase the bundle 5 times the same way as it will increase it 5 times from Marco, right? They will scale differently. Like you don't have that data. Like you don't have this data of like how it's going to scale. And again, because you don't know how the like you don't know what the app is going to be, like what it's going to use, right? Um, or for my cases, like I was like focusing on the marketing thing, right? And it's like the marketing thing is like scales kind of like more predictably. It's like more content on the page, the more bundle, and the where I was going with this. Uh, so for marketing, it's easier because like you don't have as much interactivity, so you can put more stuff on the server. And like once you solve the server part, the client side part is going to scale. Just like, oh, there is a page that has a widget. Like that page is going to be bigger than the other page because it has a widget. Like it scales just like easier to predict how it's going to scale. And it's like, oh, are we going to do that widget in solid or all react? Oh well, the solid version is going to be like 5 times smaller, right? Like you have the levers, but like for this more generic thing that he's doing, he doesn't have the levers. Like I don't know how it's going to scale. This is the problem with benchmarks in general. If you have specific needs, the benchmark should reflect that. Taylor Hunt's article about trying to get Marco and his job, how you should approach it. Yeah. What is it? I built the fastest website, and is this one? I forgot. Marco. Making the world fastest website and other mistakes. Yeah. Making the world's fastest website. Yeah. That's a great article, right? And it's like I feel that because like I did that on like a on smaller scale, not like a e-commerce, right? But it's like, yes, I can build this thing fast, like smaller, faster, or whatever. But like, that's not what the business needs. Like, how do I do the thing that business needs? Right? Uh, yeah. I think he also like does the bundle sizes, right? Uh, where is the bundle sizes? Right. He did like the initial load and all that stuff, but I don't remember. I think there was like a bundle size thing there as well. They can just like KB or something like that. Okay. Um. Oh, did the table break? What's going on here? React was to be. Oh yeah, he had. Yeah, like his thing is better because he has a number. He had a number, and then he started benchmarking. I think that's the smart way of doing it. Anyway, I just like need to like, finish it, but I will add the article in the thing because that's a like I knew about this article going into like the secondary, right? Okay. Yes. So building an app that works well on mobile isn't difficult to make good architectural decisions, right? And it's like, I don't know, what is my like favorite app, Grab app? Like this one is written with, this one is written with next.js, right? Even if I don't like it, right? The whatever the like Vercel domains rewrite, right? They did this like rewrite on the kind of like performance based rewrite, and it's like, yeah, it's fast. Like, why it's fast? Because like they cared about it being fast. Why it's in Next.js? Well, they are employed there. Like they didn't have a choice. If you're employed somewhere, you know the right answer, right? And like you have to make the other thing work. Okay. Uh, okay. So when everyone uses Next, winning performance means, yeah, it's like not using React. Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay. All measurements, call to action, clone repo, throttle 3G. Yeah, but like you're not throttling CPU. That's your like that's the thing that you're. I think it's like not realistic. Like no one has like desktop CPUs and like 3G network anymore. So I think this is like a bit like misleading. And yeah, a bunch of people helped him, which I think is great. But yeah, I guess I wish more people helped him with the article. Okay. I actually have to like drop right now. So maybe I will do like a second stream for like actually code. But yeah, how do I say it? The heart of the article is in the right place. I think he's like over indexing on a couple of things. Those are the easy things to over index on. So that's why I also over indexed on them like when I was doing my stuff. I think there is like when I look at this, it's like, oh, there's like a better way of doing this. If he splits it in three articles, if he like goes a bit like deeper than just like marketing terms, is like quick is fast because it's hydration. It's like cool. Like what does that mean like practically, right? Like do you have a number to show that? Because like no one has a number to show that. Yeah, so I think the lighthouse benchmark is basically worked. I had like for work I had to like write one that was like better, so I wonder if I can like use that. But anyway, I've been like doing 2 hours when I was planning for one. So uh yeah, you didn't see the article before publishing. Yeah, I think he was showing like code, but like he didn't show the article. But yeah, I think there is like a better article could be written about that code, but I also think there could be better code. So uh, I will try to do next stream. Well, I don't know if it's going to be next, but like I will try to do one more stream and like maybe go through the code and maybe add like a. I would be I would be interested to add like my best stack like here, and to show like how it compares. Anyway, thank you everyone who joined. I see like one more chat message. As long as our article praises Astro and dunks on Angular, it's all good. Yeah. No, not enough. Not enough HTMX mentioned. Not enough like talks about how great Astro is. But yeah, the guy spent so much time on this anyway. Okay, yeah. Thanks everyone, and yeah, I will try to add all the links, and I will try to play with the code more next time. Okay.